He's got a lot of credits on his docket, and I'm sure that he's going to have a lot of interesting stories to tell you guys. So without further ado, it's my great pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Robert Watts, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey folks, I think we should come in a little bit more into the sense of seeing as where we are.
Don't be shy, folks. I'm shyer than you are, so let's start. Hey, thanks for coming. Can you all hear me all right? I can't hear whether I'm coming through on this mic. Yeah? Okay. Well, my name's Robert Watts. Quick background for myself so you know. I grew up in the film industry. It's what I've done all my life. Back in the early days before I met George Lucas, I did a couple of James Bond movies in the 60s with Sean Connery, Thunderball and You Only Live Twice. I did 2001 A Space Odyssey with Stanley Kubrick. I'm trying to pick the highlights out here. I did Papillon with Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman. And then I met George Lucas, and we set out to make a film called Star Wars, which George always said, well, if it's a success, we'll do 2 more. And so we shot the film under quite difficult conditions, because 20th Century Fox never believed in us, and we had a very tight budget and schedule. We made the movie, and they still didn't believe in it, and then it opened and doubled their price on Wall Street. So I dare say they were quite happy with us. And after that, I returned for The Empire Strikes Back, having done a couple of movies in between, one in Afghanistan, believe it or not, which is in the news today. At that time, the only feature film ever shot there. It was called Meetings with Remarkable Men. I don't expect you to go out and look at it. Terence Stamp was the biggest star that you know in that film. And then I came back for The Empire Strikes Back, and I was kind of around Lucasfilm from then until we delivered Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And so I did Empire Strikes Back, and George came to me and said, have a look at this script, Robert, and gave me Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I did that. Then came back and we did Return of the Jedi, which is the only one in which I appear very briefly as an ATST driver alongside the director of the film, Richard Marquand, who's sadly no longer with us. And then George finally gave me the solo producer slot with Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And between those two, because there was a 5-year gap, because Steven Spielberg was doing Empire of the Sun, I went and did a movie for his company called Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And then Last Crusade opened, and I basically said goodbye to George and moved on. That's a few years ago. So that's basically the background. So if anybody has a question or anything they'd like to ask about it, I'll be very happy to do my best to reply to you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Prior to your appearance in the Return of the Jedi, had you done any acting before?
Not really. I have a half-brother, Jeremy Bullock, and he plays Boba Fett. Guess I got boys.
Oh, wow.
So he's an actor and always has been. No, I've always appeared behind the camera, but there are certain films that I can look at that I can see myself in, always as an extra. But you would never notice, but I can see myself in a film called Darling. It was Julie Christie's first thing. She won an Oscar for that. Came out in the early 60s. I can actually see myself, although you never find me in Thunderball, James Bond movie. I'm sitting in a powerboat, chasing the bad guys with a machine gun on the front. So there are bits and pieces, but no, as an actor, no. And the bit I did in Return of the Jedi, I mean, I got a couple of extras in that day, and we were at ILM, you know, Lucasfilm effects place, and we were shooting all these pickups and bits and pieces. And somebody suddenly said, why don't you and Richard do it? So we did. I didn't know until that day that I would actually be in one of the films, but no, I'm not an actor. Hey, I'm open for offers, mates, but I'm a producer. Oh, by the way, in case anybody asks me what producers do, because most people do, this is my stock answer. Producers nurture talents because they haven't got any themselves, right? Yeah.
Yes, out of all the actors that you've worked with, who was your favorite?
Hey, that's a difficult question, you know. I mean, let me look at this way. The actor I've worked most with is Harrison Ford, because I did 6 films with him, and you know what those 6 films are. 1, 2, 3 Star Wars, and 1, 2, 3 Indiana Jones. So Harrison's a good mate, and I really enjoyed working with him. Sean Connery, I did 3 movies with. 2 movies back in the 60s, Thunderball and You Only Live Twice, James Bond movies. And then 19 years later, he suddenly reappears in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. Well, I saw him, I said, he said to me, because, you know, I was location manager on You Only Live Twice, and I was the second AD on assistant director on Thunderball. And he said, oh, you've done well, haven't you, Robert, because I'm the producer. I said, you haven't done badly yourself either, Sean. So that was it. To answer your question, I don't think I can really answer it. In the main, and I've always found that actors, they're professionals, like we all are. You know, we do the movies. What the public sees is it tends to be the sort of gossip column version of what we do. It's not really like that. Yes, there are people who have big egos and things, but I rarely, if ever, came across this. And in the main, we're all professionals and we're doing a job. So I can't actually pick out any single individual like that. You know, I've worked with this diverse characters. If any of you are film buffs, I did Rita Hayworth's last film ever, and she was a screen icon from the days of film noir in the late 40s. Robert Mitchum was in that. I did 2 films with him.